What's good, everybody? Dmgaming here, guys, and today I want to talk about battle damage in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. But before we get into that, guys, I want to roll the ad-free knee. But guys, check them out. Their online marketplace. I already have a bunch of my subscribers telling me how much money they've saved by using it. PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live, PC gaming. It's all on there, guys. Go check it out. And don't forget to use promo code DMGaming for that extra % off. Alright, guys, battle damage. So for those of you who may not know what battle damage is when you're in a fight and the more damage you take, your clothing starts to get damaged and reflect that damage that's taken. A lot of people are requesting this in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and guys, it's in the game, just not the way that we think that it's in the game. So, and also there's good reason for that, and I'm going to explain all of that in this video. So, is battle damage in the game? Like I said, yes, it is in the game. However, battle damage doesn't work the way that we think that it works. So this game is made to mirror the anime / manga, however you want to look at it. And in doing that, CyberConnect 2 has their cutscenes in the game. And we know what cutscenes they have in the game. So prime example, I'm going to take you over here to this YouTube channel and show you. Okay, so this is... We know when Goku starts to fight Frieza that he has his full orange gi on. We know at some point in time in the battle, he ends up like this with the blue shirt on. Now, let's say you're fighting Frieza. Frieza can damage you all he wants to, and your clothing isn't going to change. But then you hit this cutscene, and then you go back to the back to the fight. And what you're going to notice is Goku's clothing is going to be just like this. They're not going to show it here, but there is gameplay that's going to show what happens later. Later on in the Frieza fight, Goku loses even that shirt to where he just has no shirt on, Bruce Lee style, baby. What's going to be reflected in the gameplay is exactly that. So you don't have battle damage per se, but whatever battle damage is shown in the cutscene of the fight, that's what the character is going to be wearing whenever you return to the fight. So in a sense, there's battle damage, but then there's not. And I understand people want realistic battle damage. They don't want it to come via a cutscene or anything. So rolling this, like I said here, like you would see Goku in his blue gi. Now not blue gi, it's his orange gi. It's his weighted shirt underneath it. But we know that he fights Frieza in that. However, later, we know in the Frieza fight, Goku actually loses his shirt. Just typical Goku fashion. See, so right here, this is actual fighting gameplay. This is not a cutscene. And Goku doesn't have his shirt on. Now, that isn't a result of battle damage. That is a result of the game keeping up with what Goku is wearing and looking like in that particular point in the anime. And we know if we go back and watch the Goku versus Frieza fight, there's some point in time where he doesn't have a shirt on. So that's what you're going to see that is representative of battle damage. Now, it's a two-edged sword, in my opinion. It's a double-edged sword because I know that people really want battle damage in the game, but guys, you have to think about this. It's not gonna be the way that you think it's gonna be. You have to consider this, okay? I look at it this way. This is the way that I look at it anyway. Is that if battle damage was in the game, let's say you're fighting with Goku and you get you fighting Goku against Hercule and you get a Megaton Blast attack to the face, and Goku loses his shirt. He doesn't have a shirt or anything like that on, and then they go to the cutscene. And in the cutscene, it's realistic to what the anime shows. So in that cutscene, all of a sudden he has his shirt back on. people are going to be saying, "Oh my gosh, that's not realistic." How did he get his shirt back on? You get what I'm saying? People are going to be upset about that. Whereas if you're fighting and you don't take battle damage, then you go to a cutscene and then there's battle damage, and then you go back and then you are back in your regular clothes, that would still be an issue. And then like this, like it is in the game, you don't have battle damage, but if the cutscene makes it so that you do, when you go back to the regular fight, it's still there. That's a little bit, tad bit more realistic. In my opinion, there's really nothing that they could have done to make it acceptable, because let's say they did put battle damage in the game and you lose your shirt completely, and it goes to a cutscene where you are in the anime supposed to have, say, your shirt on, but for the sake of the game, you don't have your shirt on because of what happened in the fight. Then you're starting to break away from the linear part of the anime, them lining things up in detail with the anime. And I know I'm bringing that up, and people are going to say, well, DM, when Super Saiyans charge their ki, it's blue. In the Raditz fight, Goku didn't have shoes on. He didn't have, his clothing doesn't match. And as far as the blue ki goes when you're charging as a Super Saiyan, I believe that is something that they'll have fixed in the final release of the game. Now, as far as what Goku wears against Raditz, I don't know. To me, I think they'll fix it because it doesn't make sense for them to be that accurate with the game and then mess something like that up. However, in the Trunks gameplay, we know that that Trunks wears, I don't want to see no ad. Come on, man. We know that Trunks doesn't have his sword. And thank y'all for informing me, because obviously I'm a clunkerhead. We know that Trunks doesn't have his sword, and what's interesting about that is that even in his combos, he still has his sword. So it's kind of like, I don't get it, man. It's weird. But I get it. Like, okay, if let's say, for example, the androids break his sword. It's one of those things where, once again, it's just realistic to what's going on. Let's say that the androids breaks Trunks' sword, and we see that happen, but then we turn around and we see the gameplay, and all of a sudden his sword is back on his back. That would be something that people would have an issue with. A lot of people would have an issue with that. They would say that's not realistic. The androids just broke his sword. So what they're going for in the game, this is what they're going for. They're going for realism. If you saw it in the anime and you saw it in the cutscene, it's going to be representative in the game. You see what I'm saying? In a sense. Because, well, that's what they're shooting for, guys. That's why Trunks right here does not have his sword. But in order to keep up with what really is Trunks, they give you the sword in the fights because they know moves and stuff like that. You want to see those combos with the sword and things like that. And honestly, y'all, it doesn't matter what they do. It's going to fall. People are going to criticize it. Like I said, if they make it in the game where you have battle damage, then when you get to the cutscenes that's not representative of that battle damage, then that's going to be a problem. Or the cutscene where normally the battle damage isn't supposed to be there, and then it's there, that's going to be a problem. People are going to say, oh, in this cutscene, Goku had his shirt on, or Trunks had his sword, or this or that, or this or that. It's going to be a problem no matter what they do. So, I mean, what's really the complaint? You see what I'm saying? I think people are just complaining for the sake of complaining. I would like to see battle damage too. But guys, you got to think about this as well. Aside from the boss fights, the fights really aren't that long. Well, they could be, but I get what you're saying. Would I like to see my clothing damage? Yeah. Is it something for me to bring up to complain about? Not really. Only reason I'm talking about now is because people care about it. And just because I don't, something doesn't bother me, doesn't mean that it doesn't bother you, and vice versa. So that's that. So in a sense, the way that the game is set up, like I said, you still kind of have battle damage. It's just not the way that you would have hoped to like to have battle damage. I mean, it's kind of like the Super Saiyan transformations as well in the game. When we go to Trunks versus Frieza, Trunks has battle damage. I mean, not battle damage. Trunks goes Super Saiyan, but in going Super Saiyan, there's nothing that happens as far as his fight with Frieza. We go here, looking at the gameplay, his ki doesn't drain. You know, and that's something that we talked about with the fighting. You know, whenever it's meant in the story for something to be that way, the game kind of forces your hand to maintain that realism in a sense. And then whenever you're in the free roam and you're in the fighting aspect that way, fighting the bots and stuff like that, like Trunks is doing here, then that realism kind of shifts. And that's when you start to get the things like Super Saiyan drains your ki and things of that effect and stuff. A little bit of, you know, it's small things. I get it, and people care, but it's also, you know, one of those things where, like I said, dang if you do, dang if you don't. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't think there is no perfect way to do it. And so they're doing it the best way that they see fit, which still gives you some form of battle damage. But in my opinion, guys, stuff like that and fighting in the air and the blue key, the game is so fast paced in the fighting, as you can see here. Do you really have time to kind of gaze and look at, you know, what Trunks' ki looks like when he's charging? Do you really have time to sit there and be like, I'm not fighting on the ground? You know, when you got 3 or 4 guys that you're fighting at one time, your focus is really on the fight, especially with the button maps going to the ki charge, the special attacks, the support characters. There's going to be so much going on. I highly doubt that you guys are going to be able to have time to think about those things. And the reason why is because you're going to be too busy pressing buttons. The reason we can see all of that stuff now is because we're not controlling the game, so our brain isn't engaged in that regard. See, so that's that. No, so, you know, is it a big deal for you guys? Let me know down in the comment section down below, guys. Till next time, y'all. Thanks for watching. Peace.